YouTube, I'm Rebecca and welcome to my channel Beck Treks Australia. Following these few videos I'm going to show you a bit about the Overland Track.
Whoa, pause, stop. We'll just take a break for a second. Before we get into all the good stuff, I guess I need to go back right to the start of my day and how I got onto track. I want to make this series as informative as possible about the decisions on how I got to track and other pieces of information that I think would be useful to you. Right, so first of all, we caught the Spirit of Tasmania the day beforehand. We boarded at about, say 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. We left at about 9:30. We then arrived a little bit late in Devonport at 7 o'clock that night. So that was a long day. We got our own cabin, which I highly recommend doing. You just have your own place to sit and relax, as most of the lounges and sitting areas were packed, absolutely full of people, and there wasn't much space to sit quietly. That only cost about an extra $120, considering the price of the ticket overall. It's not a cheap experience, but I certainly do recommend the extra $100 for that. So after we got off the boat, we jumped straight in the car. We already had dinner there, very expensive on the boat, by the way, but we had dinner on the boat so we could get straight onto the road. So we made our way down to the Derwent Bridge Wilderness Hotel, and we did that via the recommended route that Siri gave us on our Apple phones. That was okay until it got dark. It then went onto dirt roads that become quite dodgy, and I would definitely not recommend to do at night time if you can find an alternative route. You can see that route is highlighted in green. Following that, we arrived pretty late at Derwent Bridge. I reckon it would have been going on 10:30 to 11 o'clock at night. The whole hotel was locked and shut, and we thought, shit, these guys might have forgotten about our late booking. We did explain we were going to be in late, and they were happy to accept us at 10:30, 11 o'clock. So we knock on the door, no response. We gave them a ring a couple of times. They finally answered. And the lady, the owner, they live thankfully inside that hotel too. So she came out, she signed us all in, we paid, and from there she took us over to the kitchen. She made up a tray of foods for breakfast, which included cereal, milk, teas and coffees, fruit, yogurt, even toast and spreads to give to us. So we took that all back to our room. And this, you see, this is a picture of the room. It's pretty simple, just a queen bed, and to the left there's a little area with a toaster and a kettle, some basic cutlery and plates and bowls and things. So we basically shared a little toilet, an ensuite between 4 other rooms. So that's basically the lodge. So we had a good night's sleep there. It wasn't a big one, we had to be up early. We had arranged a van to come collect us. Cradle Mountain Coaches is who we've arranged to take us from the Lake St. Clair Visitor Centre to the Cradle Mountain Visitor Centre. So we had to be at the Lake St. Clair Visitor Centre at 7 o'clock. So we got up about 5:45, had our breakfast, and we headed up to the parking area at the Lake St. Clair Visitor Centre. From there we just displayed a pass we had previously bought online. It's about $60 for a vehicle pass for a 3-month period, I believe. And from there we waited, our van came, picked us up at 7, we got straight onto the road. We haven't paid yet. The fee for this was $400 just for the 2 of us. If there were obviously more people travelling, it would cut the costs a bit. So this is the route we took. We made a stop at Queenstown where the lady told us, okay, we only take cash, and unfortunately we're hikers, we were expecting to be able to pay on a credit card or some form, or do an electronic transfer or anything. She told us we need to pay by cash, so we had to get out. Thankfully we had our credit cards with us. Unfortunately they are credit cards, not debit cards, so we got I guess slapped with quite a few fees. We didn't expect that, no one told us prior, so we were a little bit disappointed because of that. But anyway, we paid the lady at Queenstown, and then we got back in the van and headed back to onto Cradle Mountain Visitor Centre. So from there we got out, we had a look around the gift shops, got a few good last minute items if you're missing anything like gloves, beanies, clothing, basic essentials, you know, scarves, a little day bag, dry bags, things like that. So from there we registered our hike with them. We'd already paid online, so we just had to let them know that we were commencing. And from there we went out the back. We waited about 15-20 minutes for a Cradle Mountain courtesy shuttle bus. That is free. They basically take you into the park. There is no other vehicle access other than their shuttles. So they took us in. There wasn't much of a wait. We just had to wait for the second bus. There was a little bit of a line-up, but this is 10 o'clock in the morning. So we got on this bus. The lady took us up to the Ronnie Creek stop. That is where we get out, and we found at the start of the trail. So I'll go back to the clip I interrupted before and resume, and I'll get to go through our first day on the Overland Track. A bit about the Overland Track and what it looks like. It looks like we've got some really good weather today. This is the first day. We're here at Ronnie Creek, and we're looking at a 10.5 kilometre day. That should take us about 4 to 5 hours, and hopefully we can still see Cradle Mountain. We'll be able to climb that, adding another 3 or 4 hours to our walk today. Okay, so it's only taken about 10 or 15 minutes. We're just at the edge of the scrub. Looking back, that's where we started roughly. Not long after that, we found ourselves in a forested area with a beautiful little waterfall. We thought we'd stop just for a quick breather and a bit of relief from the sun. It's turned out to be such a beautiful day. So about halfway up the hill, we stopped for a breather and could not resist taking a shot of this view. Not long to go, just up that hill, we'll stop for our first lunch break. We've just reached the top of our climb. It's taken us about an hour and 20 minutes to get to Marion's Lookout, where I'm sitting down to try out my lunch. My salmon pieces, cruskets, and rehydrated corn and mayo. So this has got quite the view, and it is relatively sheltered from the wind, so I highly recommend this as a stop for lunch. Not too further up the trail, my partner and I posed for a picture. Thankfully someone was able to snap this for us with Cradle Mountain in the background. It's only been about 10 or 15 minutes from the lunch break, and we've got this beautiful view of Cradle Mountain. We've just been following duckboard most of the way since that lookout, so it's been pretty easy walking and plenty of beautiful sights to see along the way. So we finally reached Kitchen Hut, the first hut, not an official hut, an emergency shelter on the trail. This is where we dropped our packs and commenced our climb up Cradle Mountain. After leaving our gear at the hut, we made our climb up the mountain. So we just got a few pictures of the beautiful scenery. You can see Barn Bluff up there in the distance, which is another optional hike you can do to the 4th tallest mountain in Tasmania. There's a picture of me sitting up on top of the world, on top of Cradle Mountain. Very happy to have completed it. It was certainly not an easy slug up the mountain. And here's just a little 360 of the view you get up here. We could not have asked for a more perfect day for this. And for some reason the wind has just disappeared. So this trip up and down Cradle Mountain took us about 3 to 4 hours, not sure on the exact time, but it does take a big chunk out of the day and is quite strenuous, particularly towards the top. There is a lot of rock scrambling involved. Here's just a quick view returning back down the hill. It does get very steep in some sections, and you can see the hut down there. Here is just a quick overview of Kitchen Hut, just to show you what's inside it in the event you do need to use it only in an emergency. It's very simple, just enough space for a handful of people, little loft you can sit up there, heavily graffitied unfortunately. Very nice. And it comes with very spectacular views. So we were quick to press on. It was starting to get late and we wanted to make sure we arrived definitely with daylight left. So it took us about another 90 minutes to hike to our camp, which is at the base of Barn Bluff that we just saw there. So there's just some more views as we carry on. The remainder of the walk from today was mostly on duckboard or some sort of sturdy ground or well-made path. And there's the alien spaceship. And here is camp. So that is the shelter. It can sleep up to about 24 people quite comfortably on bunks. And over there is Tent City. A lot of people are already here because it is such a nice night. I think most people are camping out. We only had about 4 or 5 other people sleeping in the cabin that night. And there's another picture of Barn Bluff hiding behind some clouds and a helipad. Yeah, so that is Waterfall Valley campsite, and as our welcoming party. This guy loved to hang out so close to the hut here, just next to where we are collecting water. And that's the end of day 1. Thank you for sticking around and watching my video. More to come. Please do like and subscribe. Thank you.